Thanks everyone for coming down today to DMA. So today I'm going to be talking about SEO strategies and competitive verticals after 14 years experience ranking in the SERPs. So a little bit about our company. We work for clients in Australia and the US market. So we mainly deal with mid to large businesses. So we do like Big Four bank SEO. We do like larger affiliate properties in the US, etc., etc. So yeah, we're lucky to win Best Agency at the SCM Rush Awards last year. So that was pretty cool. That was a big awards at the Opera House. As I said, we do SEO and content marketing for some really reputable brands. Today, I'm just going to talk about some different companies that are doing SEO. Looks like the slides are a little bit how you going, but we're just gonna have to work with it. So yeah, Canva is a multi-billion-dollar Australian tech business. The thing about Canva, it's built on SEO. So basically, they've got a $4.7 billion valuation. But the thing is, Canva is generating over 20 million visitors a month from organic search. What they're doing is they're acquiring stock photo sites at scale. I don't know if anyone knows this, but any stock photo site out there like Pexels, Pixelbay, Canva owns all these websites. They've been buying up all the sites in the stock photo niche at scale. The reason they're doing this is because stock photos drives a lot of traffic in the US market and the Australian market. The thing is, they're also targeting template-based keywords at scale as well. So if you're in any niche, you can always look at what templates you can target. So if you're in the legal niche, you can target template keywords. You can look at Canva. You can see up here, they have 1.7 million for their brand term, but then things like flyer templates, they're getting 36,000 searches a month, and they're in 5th position. So if you look on a tool called Ahrefs, you can see this at scale. So Ahrefs is a fantastic tool. It's one of the sponsors here today as well. So check it out, because a lot of these graphs in this presentation are from Ahrefs. So if you want to look in your own niche and you want to get information about a client or a competitor, chuck it into Ahrefs. Canva is also going after long-form content assets. So basically, they're targeting different keywords in the SERPs, and they're building links at scale to these keywords, and it's working quite effectively. Now, as Christian said earlier in his presentation, Canva is doing a lot of outreach. And the way that Canva does outreach is they offer something in return for getting a link. One strategy they do is offer custom graphics in exchange for placement on the site. They've got a big team in Australia in SEO and also offshore doing big outreach campaigns. What this shows is Canva have grown from 10,000 referring domains to over 100,000 referring domains in the last 5 years. So the scale of this is huge. Another fantastic Australian story from SEO is Finder. I've seen a few people walking around from Finder at this event. They've done SEO very well in the finance niche. You can see over the last 5 years, they've grown their traffic exponentially through SEO. The thing is, they're targeting a lot of different keywords. So things like sites like Airtasker, sites like Showpo, anything you can think of, Finder's got a landing page at scale for these types of queries. They build interesting content at scale. So what is Australia's most dangerous job? This is an informative type of content asset, and they've built a content asset on it, and it's got 63 links pointing to it. The best way to do link acquisition in SEO is by building content assets and getting links into them, because it looks the most natural in Google's eyes. This is another fantastic example of what Finder's doing in the credit card space. They're building out statistics content. Statistics content, it doesn't matter what niche you're in. I'm going to show you an example from HubSpot soon today as well to show you the scale they're doing statistic assets as well. This is a fantastic way to build links. Another thing they do is target Black Friday deals. So they build out landing pages for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. They link to all the different brands in these type of landing pages. They get a lot of links back to them and a lot of traffic. The thing is, when they build a Black Friday landing page, they do it months and months ahead. They don't leave it to the week before Black Friday and say, hey, let's get a landing page going for this, because that doesn't work. Open colleges. I don't know if anyone's in the education niche, but this is a client that we've worked with over the years to kind of grow their organic traffic. The way that they've done this is through things like career quizzes. So you can see that they rank very well for things like career quiz. They're a keyword that gets 37,000 searches. They target quizzes at scale. The thing is, it doesn't matter what niche you're in, you can build your own quiz. Another thing they do is they've built out a lot of landing pages around things like how to become a zookeeper, how to make a resume, how to do anything. And the thing is, this type of how-to content gets a lot of searches. So if you're in the education niche, this is a fantastic way to target your customers, because if you're looking to target zookeepers and you've got an article that's called How to Become a Zookeeper, it's an easy way to drive traffic. There's some seats over here, everyone, if people want to come through. Another thing that they've done very effectively is building links to these content assets. Quiz content assets can be a fantastic way to build links into your site. Another fantastic thing that Open Colleges has done is build ego bait content. So what they do is they'll build like these articles around things like 50 educational podcasts you should check out. What they then do is reach out to everyone that's in the educational podcast and say, hey, we've featured you on the list. Can we please get a link back? Can we get a share, etc., etc.? And the thing is, this is ego bait link acquisition. It works very well. It doesn't matter if you're in finance, if you're in education. You can adapt this strategy to any niche. Another thing that they've done very well is cyber safety content. So they've built out long-form landing pages around cyber safety. This one asset has 252 links. We've done a lot of content in cyber safety, cyber security, in competitive niches in the US like VPN. This type of stuff works very well. Another fantastic SEO story is HubSpot. So HubSpot is a business that's grown rapidly based on SEO. You can see their monthly traffic value from Ahrefs is $21 million. So to buy that equivalent SEO traffic would cost them $21 million a month. This is just a quick shout out from Matthew Barbie. He's the head of acquisition at HubSpot and a good mate of mine. I've known him for many years. So what's Matt been up to with the SEO over at HubSpot? He's been building out statistic assets for everything. This one statistic asset on search engine optimization statistics has over 17,000 links going into it. What they've done is they've scaled that out to everything. Any type of thing you can think about, PR statistics, web design statistics, statistics about everything. The thing is, these type of statistic assets get a lot of links. They're also ranking for some serious head terms. And I know whilst the head terms like resume letter, famous quotes, the thing is, they're not going to convert for HubSpot, they drive awareness. Another thing that HubSpot does very well is give out free tools. So they built a free tool, Blog Ideas Generator. It had over 4,000 referring domains going into it. So this is huge scale. They're also acquiring websites rapidly. When Matt said to me, when they move into a new market, what they do to scale quickly is usually look who's out there and look to buy that website. People that are in competitive verticals, they usually have a mindset of acquisition when they want to move into a new market. You can also do this in the Australian market. If you want to start a new business from SEO, the thing about SEO, sometimes it can take a bit of time. But if you acquire a business that's doing well, you can save a lot of time. This is a client of ours in the US market, Snack Nation. So pretty competitive niche. It's like healthy snacks delivery to your office. So Snack Nation has 35,000 customers paying a monthly subscription to get snacks sent to their office. We help them grow their traffic from 50 to 244,000 visitors a month from organic. Traffic value of this organic traffic per month went from 100K to 644,000. The way that we did this is build out long-form content assets. So we built out 10,000 word content assets around different areas. So for healthy snacks, we built out an asset, 121 delicious healthy snacks. What this then did, we did link acquisition into the asset. We had 371 referring domains into that content asset. This asset then ranks for over 2,000 commercial queries in the US market. So we're in third position for the keyword healthy snacks. This is driving a lot of serious revenue for the business. Now I'm just going to talk about some other strategies that are working in the SEO space. Verse keywords. So if you're in software, if you're in different types of industries where people in the buying funnel, they'll actually search one company versus another. So Dropbox and Zapier are really good examples of this. They compare everything versus their company. And what they also do comparison of competitors. So Zapier will go on and compare other things, and what they do is they compare themselves with other competitors, but then they'll compare competitors with competitors. So it's pretty savvy. We did this for a client in Australia. So Spacer, one of our clients, it's a storage marketplace. They're pretty aggressive. We want to grow market share. What they did was we did a content asset, Kennard Storage versus Spacer. It was just a little comparison. It got ranking in third position for Kennard Storage, so mass volume keyword. The thing is, Kennard Storage CEO wrote a massive blow-up article about Spacer. He was like, don't use Spacer. Kennard's has been around for 100 years. They've only been around for 3 years. He actually linked back to Spacer in the article, gave us free branding. So this is the type of stuff that definitely works. So this was a disruptive startup that wanted to grow traffic in the organic space, and they wanted to start ranking for commercial keywords. You can take it to the next level as well. You can build out informational, like infographics and things like that. Sydney versus Melbourne is an age-old one that everyone's been doing. It drives links, it drives discussion. You can then syndicate it on Facebook, run ads to it. People love this type of stuff because it creates discussion, you know? You always see like BMW versus Audi, what's better? And then the BMW fans go crazy. This is a really interesting one from a competitive vertical we work in the US market for. So internet comparison, super competitive vertical. One of the competitors in the space, what they actually did was they did a giveaway of $1,000. So basically they said, get paid $1,000 in free internet for playing Fortnite this summer. What this then did, it got 144 links back to the asset from news media sites and different sites online. So it was very effective, and it was only a $1,000 giveaway. The thing is, if you want to do well in SEO, you've got to think outside the square. You've got to create content assets that will do well. ExplodingTopics.com. This is a fantastic tool as well, because what you do with Exploding Topics, it gives you a daily rundown of topics that are going off. So search volumes increasing. It's a tool that Brian Dean released. The thing about this tool, you can find some very interesting things in your vertical and then write a content asset around it, a landing page, because you want to capture that traffic. I was looking on the tool, and like one of the big exploding topics of that day was Corona beer virus. So this is the type of stuff you can find on it. Like people are searching for some random stuff, but you can adapt it to your niche. Another thing that a lot of people neglect in Australia, and we talk to a lot of businesses, they don't even think about Bing from an SEO point of view. We've got clients that generate over 10,000 visitors a month from organic search in Bing. I'm not saying spend 100 hours a month on Bing, but spend 1 or 2 hours a month. Check that you've got Bing Webmaster Tools installed. Check how it's going from a health point of view. It's easy to do, and it's easy traffic. Ahrefs, as I said earlier, I was talking to Tim earlier today. He said, can you give me a shout out in your slides, please? So we've given him a few today. But basically, there's some there's some nifty stuff you can do on Ahrefs. What you can do is you can put in a site like Quora.com into Ahrefs, and then you can search for a query based on what industry you're in. And then you can see, like, I put in SEO, and you can see, like, affordable SEO in Melbourne came up and things like that. You can get content ideas. So you put Quora.com into Ahrefs and then search for whatever industry you're in. It definitely works well. I'm just going to talk about some link acquisition tactics quickly. Oh, what's happened there? So yeah, basically in 2012, I did an interview of an ex-Google search quality radar. So this blew up, this interview. I had over 320 referring domains to it. And Andre, the ex-Googler, said to me, if your website is about cheese production, reach out to people in the milk industry. Relevance is the new PR. I must put a caveat on that and say that you can still get links in sub-niches. So if you're in milk production, you can get a link on a shopping center website talking about milk products. You can get a link on a news website. If it's a high-quality, high-traffic site, you can still get links on it. But relevancy of links is very important. We've worked with some clients in cosmetic surgery, and we take on the client, and then we say, what did the old agency do? And they say, oh, they did these 20 PBN links. Can you check this out? You check them out. They're all technology-based links. They're all on the same IP address. They all have the same whois data. This type of stuff is trash. And if you're a cosmetic surgeon, building something like that can cause a manual penalty. So you've got to be careful. Another way you can find sites to contact is use sites like hunter.io. If you want to contact someone, you can also use the Facebook About Us section, because it's an easy way to find contact information. Whenever you're sending emails, you always want to check the deliverability of your emails. We see a lot of people that are sending a lot of outreach emails at scale. I got a mate who sends 300,000 outreach emails a year, and I said to him, have you checked the deliverability on your emails? And he said, no, I haven't. And then we ran a scan on it, and he was blacklisted on multiple sites. So if you're sending emails and you've got an email list or you're doing things like that, you want to check your deliverability. So Mail Tester is pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of other tools that do it. When you're sending emails out, the best day of the week to send them is actually a Wednesday. You don't want to send an email to someone on a Saturday or Sunday. Backlinko did a massive study on this to kind of look at what was the best day to send emails. The best time of the day to send an email was also 10 a.m. in the morning. So this was a study from MailChimp that they did. You also want to start A/B testing your emails. There's a few tools that do this. You can test different headlines and see what works better and what not. This is a fantastic tool, lemlist.com. So I received an email, it was last year, and basically it was like from this guy, Gilliam, and he said, Bonjour, James. I have a poster and was wondering if it was you in it, and it had my photo and it said wanted, SEO, SEM, Google Analytics. I thought it was a bit stalkerish at first, but then he came back with another email. He's like, Bonjour, James again. Like, I'm coming to Sydney. I want to catch up. And he had my name on a coffee mug. So I was getting super stalkerish, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to go and meet this guy because he's clearly out to talk to me. But the thing was, this is all automated within his tool. So it's super targeted, super relevant, very interesting stuff. The thing is, you want to create highly targeted and relevant emails. We get some really trashy outreach to some of the sites that we own. Like, this was an example of someone, he's like, hello, hopefully you are great. It was considered to read some articles on your site. I was so amazed if you would authorize me sponsored posts. Like, you don't even get past the second line and you just hit delete. The thing is, you've got to be real when you're doing outreach. You've got to add value. If you're not adding value, you're going to not get any wins. A common question that we always get is, how do I get EDU links? People are always obsessed with EDU links. You've got to be careful because there's some shady strategies with EDU links. An easy way to do it is offer a discount. So if you've got an e-commerce store or you're a business, you can give 10% off to students and make a landing page about it. A lot of universities in Australia have these student discount pages where they offer like a 10% off. We've done this for multiple industries. We've got a rubbish removal franchise and we did a 10% off for students rubbish removal at the end of semester. A lot of unis accepted it. Budget Direct is doing this at scale. So if someone says to you, do this, you got to look at bigger brands doing it as well. And they definitely are. You can take it to the next level. You can also offer staff discounts. So this was an example of a staff landing page that lists staff offers. Student offers are more like accessible in the Australian market, but in the US, a lot of universities and colleges over there have staff landing pages. Sponsorship links can work, but you've got to go after high-end ones. So if you find a site where it's sponsored by the Australian government, it's still worth getting. But if you see a sponsorship list and they've got 200 low-quality sites, I wouldn't touch it. It's a poor signal to Google. HARO and SourceBottle. I know Christian mentioned HARO before. HARO is fantastic to acquire links. Our team comes into the office every day and we start messaging sites on HARO for links. We acquired some great links through there. Like this was an example. We got a link on AmericanExpress.com. Daniel, who's over there from our team, he picked up this one. So this is the type of links you can get. A link on AmericanExpress.com. It's priceless. Reverse image lookup. This is something that works for bigger brands. Basically, you put into Ahrefs like a big brand like Combank, and then you put in .jpg, and it shows you all the sites that are getting links back to the image asset. You then find that image and you put it into Google image search, and you see that people are getting accreditation back to that image. It's an easy way to drive links to your site. Social media linking. The thing is, this is a big problem for big brands. A lot of people will just link to their social media properties, really good sites. You don't really want too many people linking to your social media. You'd rather them linking to your company website. People make this mistake. If you can put your social media profile into Ahrefs, and if anyone's linking to your social media and they're not linking to your website, it's an easy win. Something's going on with the clicker. All right. Testimonial links. This is another super easy win. Any tool that we've got or any email list we're on, we reach out to the testimonial of the owner of the site and say, hey, can we get a testimonial link? It's an easy way to generate links. This one is a little bit grey hat. Like, I wouldn't do this for a big brand, but basically a guy in the UK shared this one recently, Matthew Woodward. What he does is he scrapes crowdfunding sites that mention like if you pledge to this offer, we'll give you a link back. So he finds relevant link opportunities through crowdfunding sites. It's a bit more of an advanced tactic, but I guess if you're an affiliate, you'd probably take a risk on this. I wouldn't recommend something like this for a big brand. The thing is, high-value links and resource pages are the most valuable strategy. I used to head up SEO at Virgin Mobile like 9 years ago, and what I did was I picked up the phone and I called up apple.com to get a link on their site. This site was a DR96, so domain rank 96. It was sending thousands of visitors a month to this site, and it was generating tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in revenue. So this one link is the best type of link you can get, a resource link on a site. Finally, I'm just going to go over some quick tools that you need to facilitate this growth. Squoosh.app. So this is a fantastic tool that Google released to downsize your images. The thing is, if you've got a lot of image-heavy content on your site, you want to downsize it, because the thing is, that's going to affect the speed of your loading on your website. So definitely check out Squoosh.app, and you can downsize the images via it. Batchspeed.com. So basically with batch speed, what you can do is you can test the speed rate of multiple pages on your site at once. So you can look at up to 100 pages on mobile and desktop. We get clients that come to us and say, look, our site is loading perfectly fine. Like, we don't have any speed issues. And then you put it into batch speed, and you might find like 2 or 3 pages out of the 100 that have poor image rating, slow to load. Fantastic tool. Builtwith.com. This is a fantastic tool if you want to check what CMS someone's using. It's also good to check scripts on your website. So a lot of people make the mistake where they install like a script from a tool and they'll just leave it on the site. We work with a news media site. They had like 47 scripts running on their site. The site was loading in like 14 seconds. We said, out of those 47 scripts, how many are you still actually using? And it was like 17 or something like that. So instantly taking down the scripts of those 30 sites sped up the site drastically. Surfer SEO, this is a pretty advanced tool. Like you can do a lot of analysis on it. It's built out of Poland. You can check things like TTFB, time to first byte. It's a bit more of an advanced metric and speed analysis. Sitebulb is a fantastic tool for checking internal pages. I don't know if anyone in here uses Screaming Frog, but Sitebulb is like Screaming Frog, but next level. It's really cool. Definitely check it out. Clearscope.io. This is a fantastic tool as well. It's pretty expensive though. It's based out of Silicon Valley. So what you can do is you can do keyword research. You can look for trending topics. You can put keywords in and you can look at the content grade of the pages. So I search for like best reward credit card. It gives you like the content grade of all the pages, the word count. You can then put your landing page in and it will tell you like what you need to use more of, what you need to use less of to kind of get a better ranking. It uses things like NLP and machine learning. It's a pretty advanced tool and it's not cheap, but it's pretty good. Now to wrap things up, remember that good SEO can take months or years to achieve, but it can pay off in a huge way. The thing is, you see a lot of paid media speakers here today. We got clients that say, the thing about paid media, it's like a tap. The minute you turn it off, you're not going to get any more traffic. The thing about SEO, it can go up over time. And we definitely recommend doing both in unison. You've got to run paid media, but you've also got to have a solid SEO strategy. So yeah, that's that. That's my contact information if anyone wants to get in touch. Yeah, I presume there's going to be some questions. I'm happy to answer questions or talk about anything in more detail. I'm also going to be talking on the link acquisition panel today. So if you haven't felt like you've learned enough now, I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more at 5 o'clock. So don't miss out. Any questions, or are they going on the board, or?
Yeah, a lot of stats you get, are they based on sites worldwide, sites in America? You know, because sometimes I'm like, where's that one best for the US, but is it best for Australia?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like a lot of the tools, they do the analysis in the US market because the data pool in Australia is quite low. Like if you go to a tool like MailChimp and you say, how many customers you got? They might say like, we've got like 1 million in America and 10,000 in Australia. So they get a bigger sample size in America. From our testing, we do see correlation with the same data. So the thing is, usually if you send an email in early morning, it's going to get a better reply rate than if it's on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock. You got to test things. You don't know what's going to work well unless you're not constantly testing. You got to check your own data. You can't believe other people's studies, you know. The best type of presentations you can give are ones where you do your own research and your own data. Jimmy, did you have a question over there? I thought
obviously the link acquisition strategy is to get a whole bunch of do-follow links, get these. So do you fit no-follow links into a strategy like that to sort of round out a profile, or do you go hard on the do-follows?
Yeah, usually you want to have a good ratio of no-follow to do-follow. Like most clients that we work with are like, we want like 80-20, 80% do-follow, 20% no-follow, because it can look very unnatural if you've got like 100% do-follows in your profile. You also want to think about link velocity. You don't want to hit it too hard. Like some people do that, but like depends on the business you're working for. But definitely that's a very good point. You want to kind of have some no-follows in your profile. The thing is, if you get a no-follow link on a really high traffic site, super authoritative, you can get picked up from that no-follow and then it will turn into do-follow links. Does everyone know what the difference between no-follow, do-follow? So no-follow link means it doesn't pass any link juice or SEO benefit to the site, but do-follow means it does pass SEO benefit. Any other questions over there?
Yeah.
We've got a local .com.au business in Melbourne where most of the searches come from. The links being built for us are from .com websites, which are directory-style websites. The page authorities are good, and the content on that one page is relevant. Do you think is continually doing that one type of linking?
I think the thing is, in the Australian market, you're probably going to see like 70% to 80% of like .com, .net in link profiles, and then you see like 20 to 30% .aus. .au links are naturally a lot harder to get, but if you're getting like citations and things like that, I recommend focusing on niche relevant Australian directories first before you'd move to the US market, because especially with citations, you could kind of create the wrong signal if you're just hitting the American citations hard. That's more of like a local SEO question as well. Like, whilst I know a lot about local SEO, I'm not like deep in the trenches with that. That's the thing about SEO. There's so many different areas, you know. There's like technical, local, there's link acquisition, there's enterprise SEO. So yeah, like Daniel from our team over there, he loves his local SEO. He's all over it. Like he probably, I'll be honest with you, he probably knows more than me at this stage, because it's just not an area I'm heavily researching into and testing into. Yeah.
I've mail tested my main emails that I'm sending to customers. So I'm not doing broadcast. These are transactional emails. They're being spam blocked on some of these sites that you listed on mail test.
Yeah.
Is there a way of digging yourself out of that hole?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, to be honest with you, like for email, like in getting out of those lists, it can be very tricky. I think sometimes the best thing you can do is to send the emails from a different TLD. So if you've got like, I don't know, like joesbusiness.com.au, you send the business emails from joesbusiness.co. But you've got to like warm the emails up and send them over time. Another really good tactic for email sending is deleting people on your list that don't open the email after, like, if they haven't opened an email 3-6 months plus, it can like hurt the quality of your list. So your open rate will be lower. So you got to look into that as well. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, so you don't know whether it's possible to get delisted off his one?
You can try, but it is hard. Like I said, the best thing you can do, like if you get blacklisted on a lot of those things, you set up another domain. That's what a lot of people we work with do. They'll just set up like another variation. It could even be a net.au. That's the easy fix. Because it looks like it's still coming from your business. It's just got a different TLD. You should actively go out and buy all the TLDs for your business as well. Like, you should have a trademark. You should go and buy them all, because sometimes you can get people that try and pick them up and then sell them to you. That's happened to clients. So yeah, yep, over there.
I have a question about domain ranking. When you check different sites, say mods or AE insurance, sometimes they're different scores.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we don't use those tools like domain rank tracking. We use a Cure ranker. The thing about a Cure ranker, it's just a rank tracking tool, so it's quite sophisticated and quite accurate. The problem with a lot of SEO tools like Moz and Ahrefs, I don't want to shit on them, they try to do too much, you know? They're doing link analysis, and they're doing rank tracking, then they're doing local citations, and they're doing whatever else. They should just specialize on one or two things, because that's how you get good at what you're doing. A Cure ranker, so ACCU ranker. It's like a Cure ranker. Yep. Questions on the board here. Haven't worked with SEO in a long time. Are PBNs still relevant? Like I said, you got to be careful with PBNs. There's difference between a good PBN and a shitty one. Like, a good PBN is essentially like a well built out site. A shitty PBN is like the one I talked about earlier in the cosmetic space, where they had the same IP address, same name, real trashy site, just linking to everything. Cosmetic surgeon one day, cleaning site the next. You don't want to go for links like that. What's a good list size before A/B testing? Like, that's a tricky one, because it depends on the business, you know? Like, a business, like a small business, like, I think you've got to have at least 5,000 emails to kind of get some good data and variation. If you've got a list of like 100 people, it might not be worth doing something like A/B testing on emails. Is it important to have a .com.au site for SEO purposes, or is it okay to do a .com? Look, I think it's the thing about a .com.au. It's what the Australian customers know. You can still use a .com and rank in the Australian SERPs quite well, but I think if you're an Australian brand, you probably want to use a .com.au. But if you have aspirations of going global, I'd probably recommend getting the .com, and you can use like href lang tags and use different variations when you want to go international. What's your opinion on NoBS Marketplace? I don't want to get into any trouble by saying things about certain vendors and things like that, but like you gotta check the sites, you know. The thing about marketplaces, you gotta look into them, because the thing is, like, if you go into a marketplace and you're trying to buy links, there could be a site and you might say, okay, this site has 20,000 traffic a month. It looks great. But then you look deeper into the site and you check the origin of the traffic, and the traffic's coming from India, or it's all like meme keywords and things like that. You don't want to go for a site like that. I know those guys at NoBS. They seem like pretty nice guys. Like, I think they've got some okay links on there, but like, you got to do your research. Like, if you're using a service like that, you gotta do your research. Like, you got to check through the sites. You got to really think about it. Should local small business clients make their .com.au use their main domain instead of buying a duplicate site on .com? Like I said earlier, if you've got that issue, use a href lang tag. So quite a few years ago, Google released href lang tagging, and what that does is it doesn't cause any duplication issues. If you look at any big business like Xero.com, they use href lang tags on their site. Which SEO site audit tool would you recommend? Like Sitebulb, Ahrefs is all right. Like, they've got an SEO site audit tool. SEMrush has one. Like, I know Harry's a big fan of SEMrush, but our team's a big fan of Ahrefs. We also use SEMrush. The thing about SEO is you got to use all the tools. Like, there's so many tools coming out. You can go tool crazy. We're spending so much money on tools, but you got to, because you got to test them. Down the front.
Thinking about link acquisition.
Yeah.
Is it a good strategy to write the article first and then reach out to those people and say, hey, we can add you in here? Or
Maybe not. Outreach, you probably want to reach out to sites and say, like, oh, we've got these like 4 topic ideas. Which one are you best interested in? What you're talking about sounds like more like a link swap. That's a 2-way link swap. There was a site in the US market that was doing a lot of that, and they got hit last year. Fit Small Business. That was like their marquee strategy, was like 2-way link swaps. So there's 2-way link swaps, and then there's 3-way link swaps. I think.
I'm not suggesting hinge the negotiation. I'm
Yeah.
saying that would you write the piece with a link to their site and then let them know as a strategy, or is that?
Yeah, that's more like an ego bait, what I talked about with like the podcast stuff, where you do it like, you know, oh, like, here's 50 podcasts in small business finance, and then you link to the site, and then you reach out to them and say, hey, can we get a link back on your news section? Stuff like that definitely works. Yeah. Over there.
Migrate from .com to .com.au.
Yeah.
Just recommend it to 01.
301, yeah.
To use .com.au.
Yeah.
Over time, once the links have
Recrawl in the index.
then move on.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, when you do a 301, like, usually you're going to lose a small percentage of link juice on the redirect. But, like, if you do correct 301 redirect mapping and you map out all the URLs, it can work well. Like, don't get me wrong, we've seen some horror stories where people are using Magento and then they decide they want to use Shopify and they've got like 100,000 products and then they don't redirect it correctly, or they call you like a week before and say, we need help. Like, it's a shit fight, and you got to be careful, because you can lose a lot of traffic. And we've seen that happen. Like, people get bad consulting advice. There's so many jokers in the digital space in Australia, people with no clue, that can cause a lot of damage. Like, people be like, they've got like a deal with a Shopify Plus agency and they're out there trying to sell it, and someone's using Magento Enterprise, and then they're like, oh, like, use Shopify, it's so good for SEO. Shopify isn't really that good for SEO. Like it's okay, but it's not as good as Magento, I feel, from our experience. So you gotta be careful. Sorry for the little rant. Any more questions? Good.
So, obviously you work with a lot of enterprise level businesses these days. Do you, what's the sort of common thread you see amongst these larger enterprise businesses, coming across? Like, what's the most common things you're fixing for setting up for these guys?
I think like the basics, like you got to start with like an audit, like you can have an in-house SEO team and then they can get tunnel vision. So the first thing you want to do is like come in and do an audit and then start with like a strategy, because you got to really have a strategy to plan it out. I feel like people make all sorts of silly mistakes. Like we took on a big e-commerce client the end of last year, like pretty big. Like they have like 40 mil a month revenue, stuff like that. So they're a pretty serious player. But they have so many technical SEO issues because the site is a legacy site, been around 20 years. They had one section of their site and they didn't know about it, but hackers had found a way where you could inject a link onto a page, and then they'd built over like 1,000 referring domains, and no one had actually disavowed those links. So little things like that. I feel like people in-house, they've got a lot of stuff going on, so it's always good to talk to an agency or someone that knows what they're doing and say, like, hey, can you have a second look at this? Because like I said, some people get tunnel vision. Yep. Is that time up? Yeah.
You guys wanted to head off to our new team, grab some money, you guys want to say...